Thank you for tuning into 101.9 ChaiFM to listen to Sunset Serenade. Indeed, this is a beautiful evening. I'm so excited because today we are not going to be just theoretical about what love is. In the studio with me, I have a couple. One, a musician that we have celebrated through his music over the past few months. Yes, his name is very familiar to all of you. This is Bill Knight from Cape Town. And guess who have joined us into the studio? Is Bill's partner, Amanda Risi. She's not just a partner, she is a communication guru in her own right. And let me also thank the two of them because each time I post about Sunset Serenade on social media, they are the first two to share my posts. So, my dear listener, we are going to celebrate love through this couple. As I said in my opening salvo, and I went personal, we are talking about the beauty of love in our lives. And you do remember that in the last few weeks, I've been saying that with all these challenges that the world is facing, the antidote to all of them is love. Hello, Bill, and welcome.
Thank you so much, Saul. It is such an honor to be here today. I'm very, very grateful.
Hello, Saul. Thank you so much for inviting us in and including me here too, which is a surprise. It's a real honor to be here.
Thank you so much, and welcome to Johannesburg. I always say we are hustling in Johannesburg because we are not as relaxed as you Capetonians. I know you guys wake up at 9 in the morning, then you walk sluggishly to your office, you start waking at 10. But in Joburg, we don't sleep.
No. I wake up at 4, 5, sometimes 3. Wow. And then I stumble over to my desk. But yes, I'm usually awake early.
Okay. Maybe it's because you are a communicator and we don't sleep as communicators. Okay, I'm going to leave this conversation to the two of you. She knows your music better than anyone else. And I'm also aware that there's one special song that you have dedicated to her. And we are going to talk about that. But also the beauty of Amanda conducting this interview is that she knows things that none of us know. And she will be able to share those, especially those experiences with us. Because in most cases, we always rely on what's written about you out there. But this time we have someone who's very close to you, and we will talk about your love for each other. So I'm going to hand over to Amanda.
Thank you, Saul. Yeah, so where do I begin this conversation? You know this, because we're talking about love, and yes, we have the love that we have for each other. But I think I have to begin and say that Bill has such a heart for Africa and such a love for nurturing other musicians in this country. And it's that heart that comes through and that love that comes through in everything he writes. And so I'm going to hand over to Bill now, and he can chat to you a bit about some of his lyrics and inspirations.
Yes, I'm using as a kind of template in the back of my mind, so some of the points that you mentioned in your WhatsApp message to me. And one of them was, where do the lyrics come from? Why do I write poetry? And just on that score, I think I would call myself a lyricist first before a musician, although they are obviously profoundly interlinked. But the words always come to me first. And they come to me as a gift. And then the responsibility is up to me to apply whatever craft that I've built up over the years. You asked me, Saul, also about my heritage, how my background affects what I write. My father was born in Wales, so I have a very strong Celtic background. And part of the Celtic tradition is a love of words, a love of poetry. The bards were a large part of the Celtic experience, and they occupied an interesting position. They were linked in many ways as the conduit between the heavens and the earth, between the spiritual and the physical. And I think I've been blessed in that way, in having both the honor and the responsibility of bridging that gap in a similar way that I would say our local Sangoma would have a connection between the spiritual and the earthy. The Druids were had a very, very similar responsibility. And so that's where I find myself as a writer of songs. And my influences over and above that are many. People ask me to categorize my music, which I find very, very difficult. Because I think I'm a product of everything that has come before me, everything that has influenced me. And although some of my background is British, I'm certainly and unequivocally an African. Many years ago, I considered moving to the UK to go and seek a life there, follow my ancestors. And it took me a couple of days to realize that I am not British, I am not European, I am absolutely an African. And there's no escaping it, not that I would ever want to escape it. And I found it important to immerse myself in every kind of influence that came my way. Going back to the question about, what you would characterize my music as, one of the earliest expressions that I used was scolly rock. Now that's a Cape expression. A scolly, it has a number of meanings. One which is a tsotsi, a wise guy, a sharp boy. But as a verb, to scolly something is to appropriate it. And so I have, in many ways, taken everything that's influenced me and somehow channeled that into a unified voice.
That's very, very true. Coming to know coming to know your music over the past year or so that I have, all these influences that you've talked about are very evident, and there are very, very many beautiful threads linking them all together, and that certainly was very, very apparent in a recent meeting that we had, which was the gathering of the band, the Old Dogs Band. Bill has a band, the Old Dogs, with Derek Craig and Jeremy Stevenson. Jeremy on bass, Derek on drums. And we were gathered together also, and in the room at the same time was a lovely artist, Anastasia Elisiva, who did the artwork for the album, with this new album coming up. And there was this decision-making process of what is going to be the ordering of the songs. And the way that it all came together, and some of the songs, most of the songs being new for the new album, and a few of the older ones coming in and their relevance to today. And the way that all came together, there's a very clear thread, and in the poetry and in the lyrics, and threads of Africa, the influence of Africa also on Europe. You know, not this, we very often think about these things from a top down, oh, you know, there's Europe and here's us. And I find more and more, you know, by living in Africa, by being an African, we influence the world. We influence many, many levels and communities within the world. And certainly that's very evident in Bill's lyrics. And so, also talking about love again, Bill has written the most beautiful song. I find the most beautiful song because he wrote it for me. And I'm a very shy girl. In fact, I just wanted to run out of the studio a few moments ago. But I believe Bill's going to be playing this for us today, and I really hope you enjoy it.
Thank you.
It's a love story between one of the ocean and one of the sky. And it's called I Am the Sky.
Bill, take us through the creative process that you followed in producing this masterpiece.
Thank you, Saul. That's very kind of you. Well, first of all, the lyrics come to me. Very, very important to express myself clearly and cleanly, keeping a balance between artistic integrity and at the same time being coherent to people on the outside, not being too exclusive, not being too deep within my own personal mythology. And then at a point, incorporating music, seeing how that all fits together. And because of my background in poetry, I follow quite a ordered method of writing poetry. I'm very much a balladeer. So I have a regular meter, I have a regular rhyme scheme. I think that's a very powerful thing. Any chant or any chorus has a tremendous power within itself. So there's the point of incorporating the lyrics and the music. Then there's the issue of bringing in the other two band members. And in this respect, I'm extremely fortunate. Both of them are very, very sensitive musicians. They're very quick on the uptake. I have a policy of not dictating to them how I want the song to sound. I want the song to rather have its own integrity as the universe handed it down to me. And I would want to honor that. So I don't dictate to them, I want you to do this and I want you to sound like that. I like to leave it up to them to bring their own creative genius to the party. And that's exactly what happens. Many of the songs, I need to play to them once. If it's a new song, I play to them once, and by the end of the song, they've both got it. Both in terms of the musical performance and in terms of the meaning of the song. And just touching on the question of the meaning of the song, I have to, at some point, let it go, let it stand on its own 2 feet, and being aware that different people will interpret the song in their own particular way. And I've realized that many songs have perhaps different interpretations. You know, person A may read it this way, person B may read it that way. And I've come to realize that all of the above apply. All of it is true, all of it is valid. So I don't try to control people too far. Sometimes I have to explain to them, look, you know, this song is actually not about that. It's, you know, consider this in your interpretation of the song. But that happens very seldom. So I'm very, very fortunate that way. And then just bouncing back to Amanda's comments about sitting down and working through the track list, the running order of the songs. I was amazed at how smoothly that went. You know, we had a number of people involved in the process, sitting in a circle, discussing, you know, which song is first, which one is last, where do we put this, where do we put the love song? And I'm quite old school in the sense that I love the idea of an album as an album, not just a bunch of miscellaneous songs, but a concept, a story. And I feel it important that it build from one chapter, as it were, to the next, and each song is a chapter and a step along the journey. And in a sense, once we come to the last song, to the last bar of the last song, it loops back, in a sense, to the first bar of the first song, because it is a precious circle.
Yeah, that absolutely describes some of the process. I have a little anecdote which I might just throw in here, and that is when Bill was writing this song that he's going to be playing in a few minutes soon. I was upstairs working. I work remotely, I work from home. I was upstairs working and Bill was downstairs, and I hadn't seen or heard the song, and then something happened in my heart. I felt a physical movement in my heart. And so I crept down the stairs very slowly. Said, what is he up to? And it was this song. And he had written, at that stage, I think the first 2 verses and part of the chorus, and the melody was beginning to come together. I felt it at a very visceral level. So Bill's music to me evokes very deep feelings, very warm-heartedness, and a lot of his sensitivity towards other people, because he's very considerate of other people, comes through in every word and every line. Yes, this great love.
Bill, many artists or cultural workers in general believe that they are misunderstood. And I would say that you are very lucky to have a partner who connects with you, who understands you. And I have many friends who are in the arts, who are in the cultural scene, who are scared of being too involved or too committed in a relationship because they are scared of being hurt. Anyway, it's good if you are hurt, you are able to produce a masterpiece.
Yes. Yes.
Yes. But I would say you are very lucky because you have someone who understands you, who connects with you spiritually. But my listeners are dying to hear this song. Please give them a live performance. By the way, Bill is a guitarist, and we are going to warm up to the magic of his fingers. And yes, there is that voice that we are all dying to hear too.
Thank you, Saul, and thank you again for this opportunity. I'm truly, truly honored to be on the show. As Amanda mentioned, this is called I Am the Sky, You Are the Ocean. Who are you to disturb me in the solitude of my tower, in the keep of Merlin's cavern, carefully counting out my hours, in my splendid isolation, in the comfort of my cage, in the rags of my resentment, in the rations of my rage. I am the sky, you are the ocean, beneath the surface, how deep you dive. Is it my eyes well with emotion as you flow, so I fly. And you've breached my final bastion in my retreat, where eagles cry, and my army of resistance lays its arms down and complies to the comfort of the quietness after the conflict of the day, and the troubled dust is settled, and the sirens fade away, and I am the sky, you are the ocean, beneath the surface, how deep you dive, as your eyes well with emotion as you flow, so I fly. And I'll meet you on the horizon as the sun is sinking low, as the moon is in reflection, it reminds us where to go, and I hold you in the half-light as the night birds call us home. We both have done the distance together and alone. I am the sky, you are the ocean, beneath the surface, how deep you dive, as your eyes well with emotion as you flow. So I fly as you flow. So I fly as you flow. So I fly.
That was so divine, Bill. And here I am, naughty as I'm always naughty. And I'm going to say to this woman that I love that Bill has just stolen my words. Imagine my voice saying all those beautiful things to you. Yes, imagine my fragile fingers strumming on those strings and dedicating love to you. Thank you for having joined us, Bill. I'm now going to hand over to the two of you to give a message to my listeners, and the message has to speak about love. I'll start with you, Bill.
Thank you, Saul. Thank you for your kind words, as always. And yes, it all comes down to love. It stems, I think, in a sense, for love for oneself. That doesn't mean it needs to be a celebration of one's ego. It just means accepting yourself for all that you are. And then I think it swells and branches out into the specific people we love, the people we have relationships with, those who are closest to us, those of us who are fortunate enough to have met a partner who understands them and cherishes them. And then I think it goes further and further out into one's community, into one's nation, into one's continent, into the whole crazy world that we live in. And love is the engine that joins us together. It is a question of Ubuntu, of recognizing the universal humanity within each of us and accepting that, of honoring that, and by honoring that, we honor ourselves.
Yes, and Bill has truly covered it all there. And love is a journey, and two words that came to mind a few years ago is that when we're looking at others, firstly from love of ourselves, as Bill said, and that's an intrinsic love of the connectedness of every human being alive. It's a blood and bone, visceral feeling that we share among everyone. And so the celebration of love begins there, at a blood and bone level, and begins within ourselves. And as Bill so rightly said, it then moves into loving those nearest to us and loving others in our vicinity and sharing that love. And for me, that love also is a reflection of the light that's inside of each of us, and that commitment and a devotion to that light in every word that we share, in every thought that we have. And so we grow a delight of places like our home, Africa, and spreading that love and that light through into the world. And I've always thought of Africa as the heart of the planet, because it looks like a heart, and essentially Africa has that heart, and it's our role in the world, I feel, to spread the love of Africa through into the rest of the world. And the other two words that always pop into my head are love always. So it's a continuum and a spiral, and when love grows, it emanates into the world and grows in ever-widening circles. So there's a geometry in it as well for those who like maths and science. And so that's the message that we have today.